What's up everyone, I hope you're all doing well and having a great day and are as excited as I am for the release of Wolcen. It has definitely been quite a journey to get here, but we are finally here, yeah! And oh man, there is a lot to go over, so let's just jump right into it. First and foremost, the release of Wolcen is still planned to drop today, February 13th, at approximately 6 p.m. CET or Central European Time. Now this is just an estimate and not an exact time, but for my American friends, that is about 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Unless Google is fucking with me, in which case I'm going to be really mad. But again, the devs have said that this is not an exact time, it's just an estimate. But that does mean that the game will be releasing and Acts 2 and 3 will finally be available in just a matter of hours at this point. Oh man, I am so excited. Let's go! Now, there is literally so much new content being added to the game at this point that the patch notes that were put together for us a couple days ago are just basic notes. They do not cover every single little thing that has changed with the game, but they do cover the most important stuff, I guess, like when the release is live, you can now expect that all characters and chests have been wiped. They have added the female character. You can now customize your character when you create it and choose between different hair dispositions, faces, and colors. They have added chapters 2 and 3. They have added 2 difficulty modes for the campaign. The story mode allows you to enjoy the campaign without worrying about the difficulty. The normal mode allows you to experience Wolcen as they want you to. They have added Champion of Stormfall game mode, which unlocks after you complete the story. You can only play this mode in normal difficulty. They added the credits, and a lot of improvements have been brought to visual elements, performance, and network. Improved animations for all cinematics and characters. The heads-up display and the global UI have been improved to fit the game's content. You can now access the cosmetic inventory by pressing B by default to change the appearance of your armors and weapons and apply dyes to armors. Added the aspect of apocalypse window to select your aspect. That will be your apocalyptic form. Added socket reforge panel at Zennifer Stark's shop, so that'll be a merchant in town somewhere you'll have to find. Added overlay map for fixed areas as well as randomly generated areas, so now the tab map will work everywhere. And skills now have a list of keywords to give a better understanding of what will affect them. Two-handed weapons are now shown in both weapon slots. They have added a line on the weapon tooltip to specify if it's a one-handed or a two-handed weapon. You now have an option to show only the item type of items on the ground instead of their full name. This is enabled by default. They added an option to automatically refuse friend requests, an option to hide friend request notifications, an option to show item level. You can now modify the zoom on your overlay map. Streamer mode can be enabled, which will hide the number in your Wolcen tag. You can now limit the FPS directly from the in-game menu. Some enemy types are now able to fight in formations. General improvements of AI behaviors have been made. They have added new environments for random dungeons and secondary areas. You will be able to find them randomly during your journey or dungeons. They can have rewarding secondary objectives attached to them as well. They've added checkpoints before events to allow a quick re-entry. That should be nice. They've added altars, quite a few of them. The aspects of Apocalypse shrines drop primordial essence globes. When you click on it, these globes refill your primordial essence, which is the aspect of Apocalypse resource. That's what fills up the bar to give you your apocalyptic form, I'm guessing. Added altar, the offering shrine, allows you to select an item in a list of items. The companion shrines, summon a companion that will fight alongside you. The altar of greed spawns 6 cursed chests. You have a limited time to open them and kill the monsters they spawn. Each chest opened gives a bonus of rarity to the other ones. That sounds insanely fun. Safeguard against the Sarazel spawning sound spam is now in there. Merchants now have lines to play on various interactions. The player character now has dynamic dialogue during gameplay. The Sarazel Chosen now have voiced lines. Tons of sound improvements throughout the entire game. Alright, characters can now be leveled up to 90. All skills have been rebalanced. Potions can now be used instantly, so no more animation on potions. Weakness element now only reduces the damage inflicted by the enemy. The curse element no longer spreads elements, instead it increases the damage inflicted to the enemy. You can now unlock aspects of Apocalypse. Once your apocalyptic gauge is full enough, about a third of the way, you can transform into one of 4 aspects for a limited time, wreaking havoc amongst your foes. Each aspect has its own skills and mechanics, and the apocalyptic gauge can be filled by killing monsters. Primary stats have been reworked. Agility, ferocity, and willpower no longer have a defensive bonus. Toughness now gives bonuses to health and force shield. The break bar is a new way to handle hard crowd control immunity, like stun and freeze, for example. When an elite or a boss monster receives a stun or any hard CC, it will lower its break bar based on the duration of the stun. The break bar is also damaged as the monster receives damage. Once the break bar is emptied, the monster will be broken. When a monster is broken, he is stunned for 5 seconds, receives more damage, and can't be affected by any hard crowd control effect until the break bar is regenerated after a few seconds. That whole thing just sounds very interesting, but alright. You now only have 2 stash tabs available during the campaign. The in-game allows you to unlock 3 more. Interacts can now be consumed for Primordial Infinity by right-clicking on them in the player inventory, so you don't have to sell them to the merchant anymore. The amount of Primordial Affinity gained by consuming an interact has been greatly reduced. The amount of skill experience gained with Primordial Affinity has been increased. The attributes reset cost has been increased. The Gate of Fates reset cost has been reduced to fit the Primordial Affinity gain reduction. Alright, and they have added numerous new enemies. New active boss modifiers have been added. They will mainly appear in the post-campaign content. These boss modifiers are skills that are automatically casted at regular intervals. They can either send projectiles or spawn dangerous areas of effect. The imbued type monsters now also provide creatures with an increased chance to apply elements of the corresponding type. Added 27 new monsters that are named. These monsters are harder versions of other monsters that you encountered during the campaign. They can randomly spawn in almost every area and provide high rewards. They have also added 3 new hidden bosses. At some specific locations during the campaign, you can now encounter hidden bosses. During the campaign, hidden bosses can only be killed once and provide a unique challenge with high rewards. Increased health points for all boss fights of Chapter 1. Waylon has a new skill, rebalanced almost all creatures from Chapter 1 for more fluid and interesting combat. The Untainted Shadowblade, the Untainted Zealot, and the Untainted Mindsealer are not immune to crowd control effects anymore, thank God. In order to improve readability in fights, they have reduced the movement speed of most trash monsters and some monster projectiles. They have added new armors and weapons, 18 new unique items, new magic effects on items. As an example, you'll be able to find more offensive options on armor slots. They reworked existing magic effects. As an example, bonus to critical chance score on weapons and armors gave an increase in %, making them useful only if you had a base to scale. They now provide a flat score increase. Adding new base modifiers on two-handed melee weapons and staves to give them a bit more of a personality. Two-handed melee weapons now come with a bonus to attack damage but have an attack speed malus. Stave's basic attacks now bounces up to 2 times. Adding new tiers of potions to match the character progression. Gems are now stackable. Shift plus left click to unstack. Max stack size is 20. There are now 12 different types of gems. Gems now have 9 different types of effects depending on the sockets instead of 3. Gem sockets on items can now be re-rolled at the jeweler shop in Stormfall, changing your item socket's configuration. They added the Genesis Stone Special Gem. They have added 140 dies. You can now loot and add dies to your collection by using the right click on them. This unlocks colors that you can then use on your armor to customize them on all of your characters. When you obtain an item that's not already in your collection, you automatically add its skin in your cosmetic inventory for all of your characters. You can now loot ethereal reagents that allow you to craft various modifications on items. You can now combine the effect of ethereal reagents reagents and gems to control the outcome of your item modification. Gold value of items has been changed in order to better work with the new level progression. Interacts cannot be sold for gold anymore, and the cost of interacts sold by Demetra, whatever, has been increased. Alright, they have added an in-game feature. It is only accessible once you finish the campaign. This is a distinct game mode called Champion of Stormfall and accessible from the character selection screen. Mandates have been rebalanced. Alexander Ivakin has been removed. Aww. Dashing Eugene is now the one in charge of mandates and expeditions. The in-game offers the possibility to ask Demetra to copy, that's not her name, I'm sorry, I slaughtered that, whatever. You can ask the Interact vendor to create a copy of a skill once the original has reached a sufficient level. The copy can be customized differently and can be copied again later, but be warned that cooldown timers are shared between copies of the same skill. Adding new consumable items for in-game, allowing you to launch missions with different rules than usual. Added mini account bonuses, only accessible through Champion of Stormfall. Increased the cost in gold of a map modifier. Reduced the cost in primordial affinity of an untainted lure. Oh, here's where it gets fun. Increased the item rarity bonus of the untainted mode. Reduced the item rarity bonus of the untainted mode. I'm pretty sure that's just a typo in the patch notes. Anyways, we'll just move on. Reduced the gold and primordial affinity of the untainted mode. A trade shrine. Okay, has been added at the end of expeditions. It allows you to sell items without getting out of the current expedition. The quest rewards for expeditions have been reworked. There is no item anymore, but the experience and gold obtained now scale with the number of floors completed. The max number of floors for each run is now limited to 3 instead of 6. The area modifiers have been largely modified. The increased rarity value per area modifier has been reduced. The increased quantity value per area modifier has been reduced. 12 area modifiers have been removed. All of the resistances, the random explosions in combat, explosions when a monster dies, and explosions following the player. I hate to see that personally, because explosions in the game not only hurt you, the player, but it also hurt monsters, and you could use it to your advantage. So I hope we'll see some more different kind of explosions or something. I don't know. I hate to see those go though. Most of the other area modifiers have been rebalanced, and 78 area modifiers have been added, including new modifiers that are only applied to a specific archetype of enemy, like underlings, specialists, or champions, for example, and new modifiers that apply an active boss modifier to all monsters of a specific archetype. Oh man, sorry guys, I'm like trying to fly through this and getting a little bit tongue-tied, but I promise we're almost done. We're up to active skills. They've added 16 new skills: Anomaly, Blood for Blood, Lightbringer, Evasion, Eclipse, Juggernaut, Liver Mortis, Parasite, Plague Burst, Solar Fall, Flight of Gavanir, Infinity Blades, Feeding Swarm, Hunting Swarm, Dusk Shroud, and Death Gazer Railgun, which just looks fucking awesome, to be honest. And all active skills now have 16 modifiers. Skill modifiers now have 3 different tiers with different costs: 1, 2, or 3 points. So it's going to be like 1 point for a minor node, 2 for the medium, whatever that is, and 3 points for a major. The icons for each modifier tier have been improved. You now only have a maximum of 10 modifier points. Skills can now be leveled up to 90. They have added more details on modifiers to let the players know the efficiency of the bonuses. Basic attacks tooltips now display values such as average damage, element chances, number of projectiles, and more. Thank goodness. Gunslinger's brand now selects targets automatically as you swipe your mouse cursor over them. I guess you just don't have to click anymore. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. Alright, last but certainly not least, they have added 12 new sections to the third ring of the Gate of Fates. That is the passive skill tree in this game. Each of these offer access to new advanced and unique powers. Ring base modifiers have been changed to be more interesting. Several new passives from the third ring now use a new UI system to display their own gauges and points counters. All Gate of Fates values have been rebalanced. Whoa. And you now only receive 1 passive point per level, which is still 90 points to put into the skill tree at like what max level. That could be very, very well, I don't want to speculate too much. We'll just have to wait and see how it all turns out. And once again, this is just part of the content that will be available at the release. They did not put everything in this changelog, and as you can see, it's already quite massive. And I mean, there really is just too much to be excited about. I cannot wait to start some crafting, to pimp out my armor in some sick-ass black and red, to see these brand new skills, some of which just look so damn delicious. I've never really known exactly how I feel about the apocalyptic forms, because I feel like they're either going to be way too powerful, or like they are just going to feel way too underwhelming for their massive and awesome size. But either way, I really am damn excited to finally get to play them as a female character with glowy ass eyes and bright red or pink freaking hair. I don't know, whatever. I hope they're still glowy eyes. I did not see any in the character customization news update, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are just not in the game. And I have not watched any of these videos that are out a day early from people that received a preview copy of the release. I just personally don't exactly feel like having an entire game that I've waited years for to be completely spoiled one day before I can actually play it. So I don't know about the eyes. If you have not seen it yet, Wolcen Studio put up a new trailer for the release of the game. You can find it on their official YouTube channel, and as always, it is pretty damn good. And also, for anyone who has been wondering if the release will come as a patch that will just automatically start downloading in Steam and will just add on to the existing install of the game, well, I believe that yes, this will happen if you have the game installed already. However, a couple of Wolcen staff have mentioned that it would probably be best to just uninstall the game and do a complete reinstall after the patch goes live, just to make sure that everything's all good. And I mean, the choice is yours, of course. I'm just relaying some information that I have seen floating around out there. I do know that a lot of people have been asking about this, so yeah. Anyways, the game is going live in just a matter of hours at this point, and I need to get some sleep. I plan on investing a large amount of initial hours into this release, and then I will be getting into making some videos of the release content, the builds, the in-game stuffs, etc, etc. Lots of stuff to come. So I will see some of you in-game here soon enough, even if the launch doesn't go as smooth as we would all like to and we have to play in offline mode for a little while. I have faith that the Wolcen team will get it all worked out and that we will all be online before you even know it. So take it easy, everyone, and hopefully I will catch you all again next time.